Hi, my name is Mike. Today I'd like to talk to you about our do-it-yourself custom shutter. This shutter allows you to custom cut any desired length on site right at your home. There's no need to order custom shutters and wait for them when you can do it right now. It comes in 75-inch lengths. This allows you to custom cut anything less than 75 right now. There's some tools you'll need for this project. Here's a list of them. First thing you need to do is go and measure all your windows. Get all the lengths together so once you start your project you can move right through them. Now let's get started. Remove all the screws from the shutter caps. You want to do this on the top and the bottom. There's a total of 4 screws per shutter. Simply just remove them completely, and once you have all the screws out, remove the tops and the bottom. So once you have your lengths that you would like to cut the shutters to, here's the way it works. For example, I'm going to cut this shutter 55 inch. So I would take the 55 inch and subtract it from 75 inch. That's 20 inches. I'm going to take the 20 inches and divide it in half. So what I'm going to do is take and mark 10 inches off the top. And I'm going to take and measure 10 inches off the bottom. Then I'm going to take my square to that mark and I'm going to run my line across the shutter on both of them. Next thing you want to do is once you have your lines drawn, use your square as a way to run your saw straight across. This makes sure that you have a square cut for the shutter. So take your square, just bump it up against the bottom of the saw, line your saw blade up to where your mark is, and then go ahead and cut straight across, holding the square in place. Now we're going to do the same thing for the bottom half of the shutter. We've measured 10 inches up. We're going to take the square and hold it. And another thing I just want to point out, keep your saw kind of near your work area so the shutter doesn't get flimsy trying to hold the saw out. Just stay as close to the horses as possible without cutting them, of course. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to hold the square up to it. We're going to run the saw across the bottom. Once you've made your cuts, take a utility knife and clean the edges off. Inside, outside, that way it doesn't interfere with putting the shutter caps back on. The next thing you want to do is just make sure you get the proper caps for the top and the bottom. You'll notice that the top cap is actually narrower than the bottom, so just make sure you put the wider cap on the bottom, the narrow one on the top of the shutter. Now we're ready to install the caps. Now take your top cap and slip it in place. Make sure it's tight to the seam that you just cut, and take a pair of vice grips and lock it in place. Once you've done that, you can take your screws and start putting them back in. These screws are self-tapping screws, so just take your bit with your drill and just drive it back in. Snug, don't over tighten. So now go to the other side. Again, make sure the seam's tight, and take your vice grips, clamp it tight, make sure it's all square, and then take your screws, take the screw and same thing, just self-tap it, just drill it right through the plastic until snug. Remove your vice grips, you're good to go. Take your bottom cap, put it on, make sure the seams are all tight, take your vice grips and lock it in place. Then take your screws, same thing, they're self-tapping screws, just drill them right back in place. Don't over tighten. Then do the same thing on the other side. Just hold it tight, clamp it, take your screws, and you're good. Once you've got all the screws on your caps, your shutter's completely put back together, ready to go. Now that we've completed our shutter assembly, you're ready to install them on your house. Follow the standard installations for putting shutters on your house. Thanks again for using our do-it-yourself shutter, and have a great day.